Now this great feature is also introduced in Dot after Dot 3.7, which is called wildcard variables. So what are wildcard variables? We can utilize them by using underscore, and this is a way to ignore any variable inside our code. And following are the few use cases where that variable will be very handy. So let's start discussing those one by one. Ignore value in tuple. Before exploring those use cases, I have two commands for dot. I will be sharing at the very end of this video, so don't miss out the end. Those are very handy when you are developing code on your local machine or building and deploying your code on CI/CD pipeline. So keep watching and let's start now. Ignore value in tuple. So what is tuple? When we group two or more variables together without creating a specific class or struct, then this is called tuple. This object is called tuple. So how we can do that? We can in dot we can do that by placing those inside braces. So let's say 1 2, so we have created a tuple of two values. So let's jump back to its definition. We have a record or tuple and we want to ignore, let's say, code or channel value. So let's say if we want to ignore the third value, we can put simply underscore at the third position while creating variables. So Usman will be mapped to the first name, channel to the middle name, and code will be ignored. So what should be printed? Channel name Usman channel. So let me run the dot file. Let's see what it says. Yeah, I haven't saved this one. Let me save and run once again. Osman channel. So this is the first use case, and this wildcard variable will be very handy. Second use case almost aligned with the first one, but this is related to the pointer. Let's say the coordinate pointer when we want to ignore, let's say, x or y coordinate. Specifically when we are developing something which is to do with the coordinates, we can easily utilize that underscore. So in this example we are ignoring second value, we are mapping first value with the y, which is not right logically. So first should be and always be x. So now the first value will be mapped to x, the second value will be ignored, so we can simply print x out of that one. So let me save and run. The value should say x coordinate is 10. We can see that. Now the third use case, wildcard in switch statement. So let's now jump to here, and this is to do with the scenario when we have an object and we only want to use specific property of that object in the cases, and we want to ignore the other properties. So let's say we have that input coming from the top which has first property 200, second is string which says success, and let's say this is response coming back from an API of status 200, and we want to check if this is a case of status 200. We can simply say that operation was successful. So let me run this file again and it should say operation was successful. And we can do other way around as well. Let's say we put here success here and ignore the first one, so it should still saying operation was successful. And now just jump back to the fourth use case, which is ignore parts in if else. Okay, we have an object, a record, and we have an if, and inside that if we only want to check a property of it to compare with a value. Let's say the second one we want to check, and we want to say if that should be like this one. If the value is 200, then everything is fine. Let's try that out. Yes, everything is fine. Let's say this status was something else. What should it say? It's not okay. Yeah, it's not okay. Okay, that's fine. This is how we can use underscore between if else to cover the condition. And the fifth one is for loop destructuring. So for that one, let's jump back to its body. Let me see. And here we want to ignore the IDs. Let's say we want to show that list on the UI in a list view, and we don't want to display those numbers or indexes. We can simply use underscore within our for loop, and we can only utilize name and age. So if I run now, it should say name is Usman and age is 20. Same for Ali and Ahmed. Let's jump to the last case, which is name record destructuring. And now let's go to its definition. We have a record here and we want to ignore a value. Same thing we did for the case of for loop, but this is for specifically for a single record. We want to ignore the age from that record and we only want to print its name and country. So in that case I will run now and it would say user is Usman and is from Pakistan. So these are the different use cases of the wildcard, and this is how useful wildcard is, and it will cover a lot of scenarios and remove a lot of boilerplate code from within our code bases from now onwards. So now the bonus point, the commands. So for that one, let me run cls. And have you ever tried dot space analyze? Let's try now. So it says no issues found. So this is a tool, a command which we can use to analyze our code, and that comes under static code analysis, normally in our CI/CD pipelines. So that is one command you guys can use to analyze your code if there are any issues. The other command is dot format. So that was all for this video. For any questions or queries, do ask me in the comments, and see you in the next one.